All right. Hello, sensitive gangsters, and welcome back to another video. We're gonna do another reading today. It's gonna be more specific because I definitely feel like some type of very sensitive energy right now, and this might have been triggered by a certain event. This might have been, just a feeling that has been coming up. It might be other people projecting something onto you. It could be anything like that, but it's definitely kind of sensitive energy that I'm feeling here, and I feel like, yeah, I want to kind of ask Source about that, what is going on there, and it may be that you are also involved in something that is, very sensitive, and maybe you're even yourself a little, confused, a little taken aback about what's going on here, because I feel like there's something, maybe there's something that was triggered that is very deep. Like it feels like something that you haven't had to deal with for a long time, but it's something that just came up out of nowhere. Like, how can I say this? Like, it feels like something like maybe a childhood thing, or maybe something like a belief about you that has been going on for a long time. Maybe you've been actually trying to work on it and been getting better at it, but for some reason there was some event or something happened that made you think about that again, and kind of made you feel like maybe I haven't made the process progress that I made, but I'm here to tell you that you still have that progress, and that you're still, on your way. Like you haven't lost your way. You may feel a little lost right now, but these types of feelings, they come and they go. And yes, they're there to tell you something, but they're also there to tell you that now you can assess the situation and you're like, okay, this is I did make progress. I did make progress because I can talk myself out of this. I can make sure that, I'm in a safe space, and I'm not, like in my mind already like breaking everything down and being like, oh, you can't do anything. Like you tried so hard, but still you can't do it. Like you're just, just talking very, very negatively to yourself. And that's something that you've actually learned to be a lot better about. And sometimes people aren't sensitive to that, of course. Like there's just sadly no way to avoid triggers in your real actual life. It's just going to happen. The question is, how are you going to deal with it, and are you going to deal with it in a healthy or unhealthy way, right? So it's not about figuring out who's at fault, who triggered you, or whatever it is. Like it's about you. It's about you and your way to deal with these things, because either way, even if there was something that was, maybe uncalled for or unfair, whoever is involved in this, like even if it's not a direct confrontation or anything, like whatever it is that was there, and whoever is influencing that right now in your life, they are not like, what am I supposed to what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that you are on a different in a different point in your life, and you're able to deal with this in a different way now. And you're gonna feel what is this is gonna, you know, give you is that you're gonna feel more secure within yourself, and it's kind of gonna give you that feeling of like, it doesn't really matter what happens now because I can trust myself. And maybe that's something, like maybe that's something truly that you've been going through, that you felt like, can I really trust myself? Or like you kind of felt maybe betrayed. Maybe there was something like that you felt betrayed, or that you felt like you couldn't trust someone, or that you thought you could trust them, and now like you're kind of questioning it, and that's also questioning your own trust in yourself, right? Because you made whatever decision to now be in the situation that you are in. um but yeah, I think what I want to say is that you are going to feel more confidence, because you are on that journey, and you are on that journey of like understanding yourself to a degree where you are able to admit your wrongdoings, but also understand that other people are also not perfect, and they're also going to say things or do things that are not okay, and that it's okay to point that out. And it's not just your fault. Like it doesn't mean that now you are bad or anything, or everything about you is bad, or you can't trust yourself anymore. It's rather that you can trust yourself, and you can deal with these situations now differently. And maybe you don't know it yet because you haven't been through it yet. You now is like kind of the first time, maybe either in a long time or the first time in ever, to deal with things in a different way. Because in the past, I feel like, especially if you're a sensitive person, people kind of tend to, go more into themselves and not really be very confrontational, because you feel so much, right? Like you just cannot handle it. Like maybe you have done it in the past and you feel like I just can't go there again. It literally just crushes you. Like your soul is gone after it, and you don't want to have that anymore. You don't want to go through that anymore. So you're gonna have a different experience this time. You may feel like you're a little bit apathetic because sometimes it is kind of about that, like kind of really separating yourself from your feelings. And of course, you shouldn't go overboard, but it may feel like that at the moment. Like it may feel like I need to just separate myself from my feelings so I can survive this moment right now. And, you know, I want to say, like, do listen to that call to a degree because sometimes it is good to separate yourself from your feelings to be able to think rationally, but it is also important to keep the balance, right? So let me just see here. I've rambled on for long enough, so source, let me see if I can get any reading on this. Please, can we get some answers on the situation? There was some kind of situation that happened, and we want to know what kind of energy can we now expect to, like, let's first start with ourselves because that's what we're here about, right? Like we're here about to understand more about ourselves. And there may be, especially if you're triggered, like that's the kind of situation where sometimes you might say something or do something that you aren't necessarily proud of or you necessarily like stand behind, or you were just not even able to get the words out the way that you wanted to, so maybe things just came out in a way that could be misunderstood. Even if you know that whatever you wanted to say, like it's not like it's wrong or anything, it's just that you were very emotional and that you were very upset in that moment and weren't able to defend yourself. And maybe that's kind of the feeling that you have right now, that you can't trust other people, you can't trust yourself to defend yourself, and even if you defend yourself, you can't do it in a way that is actually helping you. Like it's just making your situation worse because maybe you're very upset, because it is upsetting. It is upsetting to be this kind of person and getting barely any recognition for that. Like, I don't know. I feel like you were in a situation with someone who is very insensitive to these types of things, and that's why you kind of like that this person or this situation, like there was some insensitivity there, and that's why you felt the way you did. Um, but you also need to realize, not everybody is that sensitive. That's the thing. Like, sadly, sometimes you need to find your people, and sometimes your people are just rare. Sometimes you will have a hard time finding those types of people because they're just rare, and that's not a bad thing. It just is. It just is, and it doesn't mean that everybody needs to understand you perfectly all the time. But of course, you would love that. You would love for people to understand you, but that is the thing. It's not an uncommon thing for human beings to feel like that. So yeah, just remember that also the other person, whoever is involved, might feel the same way. Like they will also feel like, why can't you just understand my point of view? Why can't you just understand how I'm dealing with this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's never just one person, it's never just one thing. Like, if there are multiple people involved, all of these people have their, parts in whatever happened. So yeah, the point is, how are you going to deal with it, and how are you going to keep true to yourself with being accountable, but also not, you know, betraying yourself in a way, because that's kind of the thing. I think it really, like, that's really what's coming through: betrayal of trust, or betrayal in some way. That's kind of what I'm getting here. But let me see. Source, what can we expect from this energy right now? What is going on here? Oy, oy, oy. Interesting. Damn. Okay, so first of all, they're both reversed, and I already know the meanings when they're upright, so let me see here. Alright, so we have the Ace of Wands in the reverse, so that's definitely, yeah, okay. I see that there's usually the wands are very fiery, right? Like action, and if it was like this, would be like, oh yeah, you're like taking actions, or there is some type of willpower, but this will actually like make you feel more like a lack of energy. Maybe you put a lot of energy into something now because you reacted really, emotionally, or whatever it was. Like there's some type of lack of passion. That's probably the thing with the apathy thing, because yeah, it also says that it could mean also boredom. So maybe you will kind of like lose a little bit that touch with yourself, that with that creativity. Or what I could recommend here is that you do actively like look for creative projects or try to connect with yourself in that way. It's definitely telling you to shift your thinking in a way of like, I ignite my own inner spark of inspiration. So don't wait for outer inspiration to come to you, but rather look for it. Um, so you can kind of avoid this type of energy. And it is also the aces, so it's kind of like beginnings and potential. So there is potential for, there is potential for creativity, there is potential for growth in this situation, for you to deal with this situation in a way that is more healthy. Maybe in the past you've dealt with it differently, maybe more like trying to escape it, but you maybe, there is a way to channel it, right? Like with creativity and stuff like that, there's a good way to channel emotions and really, work through something. So yeah, I think that's a good advice there, that to kind of maybe go for that. Um, yeah, but let me see. We also have the Page of Pentacles in the reverse, and that's exactly it. Like lack of commitment, greediness, and laziness. So maybe there is, also an unwillingness to change, or like certain expectations that are built on the past. And that's kind of the problem. Like if you're trying to get away from the past, you can't really use the past as a comparison, right? You actually want to have something different, and you're not going to have a comparison in that way. You are going to have a comparison when it comes to the past, because you're going to actually make different choices, and you're going to realize that maybe there were better choices for you, you know? But yeah, what they say here to shift your thinking is consistent effort brings me closer to my dream. So yes, maybe there is something that you're kind of looking for. Maybe you had some expectations, too high expectations, that kind of made you like, I don't know, be stagnant, or like feel like you can't reach that, or I don't know, like you want more than you can actually get. Like maybe you're not putting enough energy into that. Maybe you're not trying hard enough in that way. Like it's not even that you're not trying hard enough. The point is that you don't have the right priorities. Like you're not trying hard enough where it actually matters right now. Maybe you're spending too much time dreaming about things, like being kind of like a daydreamer, being like having certain expectations, kind of living in those expectations, and then always being disappointed by the reality of your life. Like that's kind of what I'm getting here. And Pages is that kind of like childlike energy. So maybe this is kind of flipping that childlike energy on its head. You should actually be using it in a more positive way, not being childish, not acting childish, but using that childish wonder to feel like, oh, maybe there is more. Maybe, yes, maybe I'm wrong in this situation, and maybe if I shift my thinking a little bit, maybe I can get curious about that. I can get curious about how that feels in my body. I can get curious about how my sensitivity can also serve me. I can get curious in how I deal with whatever triggering situations that might happen in the future. This is a learning opportunity, right? And it's like this eagerness as well, right? So try to tap into this rather than expecting things to just happen for you, because maybe that's kind of the energy that you've been in, that you're like, oh, I've expected this and now this happens. Like you were kind of caught off guard by the reality of your situation. But if you are more realistic in general, you won't have that issue anymore, right? And this one also fell down, by the way. So it does mean more in this case. So the Page of Pentacles in the reverse. So really a warning for greediness and lack of commitment. Like maybe you are in a committed relationship, for example, where maybe that's why maybe you had a disagreement or something, that there is a misunderstanding about your commitment, and that you need to maybe make it more clear that you are committed, not with your words, but with your actions. Because then we have the Seven of Wands. All right, so that is, it is interesting, because it's perseverance, but also defensiveness. So it could be read in this way of like, maybe you're being too defensive. And it's not necessarily bad because it's also saying, perseverance, defensiveness, and maintaining control. And the affirmation is I defend my boundaries. So, of course, it's okay to have boundaries. And I think it's also okay to defend those boundaries, absolutely. But I think it's always about, again, about the balance. Am I going too far with these boundaries, or am I actually pushing people away? Am I being realistic about my boundaries? But it is, again, also about the seven. So it is tied to spirituality, wisdom, and exploration. So yeah, explore maybe your boundaries, understand, like, maybe you even have boundaries when it comes to your spirituality. Maybe you have this idea of like, I can't share this with people because this is a boundary that I cannot cross, because there are people who are very insensitive to these types of things. So, and maybe they're not seeing what it actually is helping you with. Maybe they're not understanding the power of these, rituals that have really changed your mind on things, actually. And even you, like, I'm the kind of person, who used to be very skeptical, but I understand now what these practices also mean, like, not necessarily even needing to believe in anything specific, but rather understanding that it can be a practice of self-reflection. And that's something that I think is very important, and that I've already been doing even without spirituality. So I'm like, this is just another tool to channel this type of energy, right? And yeah. Hmm. Yeah. You definitely feel like you need to defend yourself. Like, that's definitely the type of energy that I'm getting here, that you feel called to defend yourself. So maybe this really triggered this kind of defensiveness in you, and maybe you even felt like maybe you went too far, but it's not like you feel like you shouldn't defend yourself. You feel like, yes, I should defend myself, but I don't really know how to do that because maybe in the past I didn't do that sufficiently. Maybe you just, that's the thing, like with sensitive people as well, like you have this need for harmony, so you will just accept a lot of things that are unacceptable. Like, other people would have already reacted a long time ago, but you just let it happen, and that's why it keeps happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now you're trying to figure out, how can I now defend myself in a way that works and doesn't push people away, but still makes clear that I have boundaries and these boundaries are not to be crossed, right? All right. Anything else? Ooh, that one flew out like perfectly. This one flipped. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Hmm. So we have the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. Yeah, it's very much self-centeredness, jealousy, smothering. Shift your thinking. I honor my needs and practice self-care with compassion. When the Queen of Pentacles becomes disconnected with the energy of her suit, she can become someone who is completely self-absorbed. Gone is the upright generosity in her suit. She can be selfish and even envious when other success seems greater than hers. Upright, her home is usually a sanctuary for her guests, but reversed, it may instead be slovenly. Whatever that means, I don't know that word. She loses the ability to take care of herself and her surroundings. Her focus on the material may manifest negatively, making her greedy and yet lacking in her sense of duty and capability. How can she ground herself again? How can she re enter the sacred relationship she naturally feels with the earth and all its living creatures? Yeah, maybe you do, like, you work as disconnected now, because I feel like, yeah, it activated this defensiveness, but to a degree that was just too much. Like, you just, I really can recommend to try and ground yourself and understand like what actually happened in that situation, whatever it was. Like, especially if you are triggered, it feels like, yes, it's something that has been, dug up from somewhere, that it's not always there, but it's kind of been there because you've actually been working on it. Maybe it's actually been working out, and now you feel like, no, now all of this progress is kind of gone, but that's not actually the reality of the situation. That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to get you to understand what actually happened here. Like, yes, there might have been a triggering situation that brought up something that you've been struggling with for a long time, and now you've kind of felt like, yeah, I'm actually getting somewhere now. And because someone pointed out something about that, um, you feel like, wait, no, like, that is not that is not fair. Like I've literally been working on exactly that, and I've like been doing well, and now you're like coming at me like this. That it feels kind of weird. And it's not to say that any one of you is the right, like has it right, but yeah, I feel like there's definitely something like there needs to be some kind of grounding energy because wait, let me see this one first. Should I have it upright or reverse? Reverse. It said reverse. Interesting though. What does the tower reverse mean? Okay. So it can mean different things in this case, and that's the thing. Like if you're able to ground yourself in that way, maybe you're able to avoid disaster. But it can also mean that you're delaying disaster, or there's also a fear of suffering. And I think you are just going to suffer more if you're going to stay in this defensive energy, because I think you need to have some type of reconciliation. It doesn't mean that everything you said was wrong, but it's more about admitting the things that you were wrong about. And it tells you to shift your thinking, as in like in change I rebuilt stronger foundations. So whatever was there, maybe there is some change that needs to happen, or also change within yourself. It's definitely like it's tied to the Mars energy. So Mars represents the part of us that is still animalistic, our aggression, right? Like that is this animalistic energy that may have come out. But when you understand, when you use your rational mind, you see something different, right? Our sense of competition and drive, yeah. Mars tells us how a person is driven to take action and what makes them passionate. What gives you passion, courage, and drive? What makes you angry? How do you express your anger? What are your animal instincts like? And the thing is, if you do examine these questions, you will understand what part of that whole situation, whatever it was, made you angry. And I feel like what made you angry is someone crossing your boundaries. I think that's what the thing is. Or you're kind of learning to set boundaries, maintain boundaries, and maybe that's something that you're dealing with right now. And because someone breached it, you kind of feel that loss in trust because you thought you could trust them. But maybe you also went too far a little bit. Like there's definitely some kind of imbalance when it comes to that. I think like you're kind of working on it, but still not where you want to be. You know. Let me see. Is there any hope? Tower moments. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yes. So, and maybe there is hope. Maybe there is hope because the King of Cups is very compassionate and very balanced. Like, I literally just said there is an unbalance here. So the King of Cups moves with compassion, with control, with balance, and the affirmation is there are solutions that both my heart and my mind can agree on. So I feel like you can reach this balance, but you are gonna have to change some things because the thing is with triggers and stuff like that, usually the people that trigger us have nothing to do with the actual thing. Like it's more something that has to do with us and the experiences that we've had in the past, and maybe other people who are involved with that, but it's usually not the people who trigger us. Like usually it's like new relationships and then they trigger us and then we're like, can we trust this person now because they did the same thing? But really it's just you reacting the same way because you feel like it's the same situation even though it's not. Like there is some type of cognitive distortion there potentially, so do consider it. Um, yeah, and it is that external energy. So I feel like maybe you're able now to extend that kind of energy of like, I'm not gonna blame this person completely because you know that you have some issues with this particular thing, whatever it is that you're dealing with. When it comes to boundaries, maybe that's kind of what I'm seeing, right? When it comes to the sensitivity, because when you are this kind of very sensitive person, you tend to, throughout your life, develop this wall around you and this coping mechanism of completely just shutting down, shutting off, either shutting off your own emotions, shutting out other people, because you just know that whenever these things come up, it will be too much for you. You will just not be able to handle it. And especially if you know that other people can easily handle it and you're like, wait, now I'm alone just handling all of this emotion and you're just there and you're fine. Like that's just putting more even more onto it, right? Like so it's kind of that energy of like you want to defend yourself, and I do applaud you for that and you should do that, but in a way that is more balanced and more compassionate and not assuming the worst in people. I think that's kind of like the thing, because I feel like your reaction will always be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Like this is the worst thing ever and this person is the worst person ever, and that is the only way that you can even see it in that moment, because you're so triggered in that moment and you just feel like you're just going to go through this your entire life. Your entire life is just going to be like this now, right? That like this kind of energy, like you're just stuck in this loop in your mind that is kind of impacting your decisions and how you act in that moment. Either way, I'm really, I'm sorry you have to go through this. Obviously, this is not an easy thing, especially if you're like if you're really truly a sensitive and trying to be a good person. Like I know this is a difficult situation because you know that you're not a bad person, but you know that you may make mistakes and you're making mistakes, and that whatever you're doing, you have a good intention, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually doing good things, right? Like you can have all the best intentions but still do bad things, and they still affect other people. So yeah, maybe. And the thing is, when you are able to set your ego aside and are able to admit to your mistakes, usually it will also open up other people. But at the same time, I want to remind you that you shouldn't have an expectation, even because if you have an expectation and it doesn't get met once again, I think it will just be triggering you again. So I feel like if you feel like, yes, maybe I was a little too triggered, or maybe I did a little too much, and you want to, talk to this person, talk to someone who triggered you in that way, you should not have the expectation that they will come back with the same energy. You should have the expectation of like, I am doing the right thing for me right now and trying to reconcile, and what they do with that is their, responsibility. But don't react in a way that is like, oh, I expected you to do this and now you're not doing it, and now I'm like mad at you, because that's just going to make your situation worse again, and they can flip it on you again. Even if even if it's fair for you to expect something back, it's not about that right now. It's about you showing them that you can do that, like that you can put your ego aside and understand that you were just triggered in that moment and that it wasn't fair for you to say certain things. you know you may have said something when you were very emotional and it wasn't even meant for that person. It was more your reaction, your emotional reaction to this thing happening over and over again in your life, and that's why you reacted like that. Not because you never reacted in the past, now you're kind of like overreacting to things. Like I think that maybe the energy here. But let me see if I can get any oracle card on this. All right, like let me see if I can get any oracle card on this reading right now, on this situation. Maybe can I get a more specific question? Let me see. Source. Should I pick a card or shuffle it? Okay, I'm getting pick. How many cards should I pick? Immediately I got two, so I think I'm gonna pick two cards. And I want to set an intention for these cards. I want to understand, since I'm getting two, I want to get an energy on what happened, and then another one on how we're going to deal with it. How this person that is receiving this reading right now, how are they going to deal with this? All right, so the first one is what was going on in that situation, the energy in whatever triggering situation that happened. All right, the energy in whatever triggering situation that happened. I'm seeing like a flared up one here, and I kind of want to get it. This one or this one? This one. Okay, so it came out like this. And that's because I'm holding them like that. Okay, let me see. But how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with this? This one? Yeah, it feels good. All right. Okay, interesting. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna read them also upside down because I didn't used to do that, but I feel like in this case it does make sense, and I want to get into it also. So we have autumn, but it's reverse. So it's usually bounty and balance. So I feel like there's definitely some kind of imbalance here. And when it comes to bounty, I don't know, like maybe there's a lack of something. Maybe you felt like, the way I said it kind of makes sense because maybe you felt like you worked on something, but it didn't really come to fruition because in the practical sense, it didn't really translate, is what I'm getting here. Like, there's still a lack of balance here. There's a lack of bounty. Like, you can't really reap what you sow because for some reason you just didn't take the action that was actually needed. Like, maybe you felt like, yes, you were working on it, but still when you were triggered, you like the same thing happened. Like that's kind of what I'm saying here. But the way you're going to deal with this is actually nice because we have summer and we have expansion and we have growth. So I feel like there's room for growth and that there's actually like this you wouldn't have reacted like this if you weren't emotional about it, like if you didn't care about it, right? So I feel like it's not that you are apathetic. I think it is that you are very sensitive and that you're trying so hard and that is why you're reacting the way you are reacting. But the reason why it's not working is actually because you are reacting like that. So it's not about being apathetic, it's about understanding that you are that sensitive and that it's okay to be sensitive, but it's also not going to help you if you're just going to continue the way you've been doing things. You need to understand that you are sensitive and that you need to work with that you can't just deny that it's there because that is kind of denying your entire truth, right? You didn't want to betray yourself. And the way you're going to be able to do that is actually understanding and recognizing the way you actually are, right? And maybe this is like, yeah, it's telling you like there is room for expansion and there is room for growth, and that is going how you're going to deal with it. You're not going to stay in these patterns because there is already this drive within you that you want to change and you want your life to be better and you want to feel like you have some control over it, because in the past maybe it felt like you don't even know what to do. You feel like you're hopeless, you don't have any power, but now you're kind of stepping into your own power. And when I said step into your own power, for my recording right now, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to be that in the video, but for my recording right now, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I feel like it's that kind of like taking each step, but taking it with, groundedness, taking it very consciously, taking these steps forward and being like, maybe I need to be uncomfortable right now. It needs to feel a little weird for me to do this in this situation because in the past I might have not done it. But it's not supposed to make you afraid of doing that. It's supposed to make you understand. Once you take one step, you understand, oh, actually, this is helping me grow. Oh, actually, this is a different situation, but it's actually good. And then you're going to feel like you can take the other step again. So really focus on each step that you want to take and make it with intention, and take a step back from whatever situation is happening. Maybe there will be a triggering situation. Probably there's going to be a triggering situation at some point in your life once again, right? And you're going to take a step back and be like, wait, I'm triggered. Wait a moment. What am I supposed to do now? I'm supposed to take a different kind of action. Don't react too fast. Take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to think and be like, what do I actually want to do right now? Is the situation, the way I'm reacting right now, is this actually what is happening? Or is this something that is coming from the past that this person that I'm dealing with right now doesn't even deserve, right? But yeah, I feel like if you keep on reacting in the way that you are, you're just gonna be digging your grave even deeper. And you don't want to do that because that's also what has been making it even worse for you, because you kind of felt like, why am I digging this grave for myself? Like, what is even going on? You were kind of like confused of like, what is even going on here? But now you can see it kind of from a different perspective, not as in like I'm completely dismissing what I'm going through, but more of like I'm acknowledging what is happening. I'm acknowledging that I am triggered. I'm acknowledging that I can choose to react differently. And even if it feels wrong, it doesn't mean it is wrong. Even if it feels uncomfortable and weird, it doesn't mean it is wrong. It just means it's different. And for you to even understand if something works or not, you need to try it. You need to try. Like, even if you fail at something, if you don't try, it's even worse. So you just need to try and figure it out. And you might find that something actually works out for you. Or you might find that this is not working out for you, but you will be like, okay, this doesn't work, so what else can maybe work? You know? And it may be difficult, and you may go through a few situations where you will feel hopeless again and you will feel triggered again, but you're not supposed to despair because you are going to go forward with growing, and you need these types of experience to be able to grow. There's just no other way to do it. Like you need to be able to have these experience to make your body and your mind and everything understand that you can deal with it differently, and that it is a different situation, and that it's not the same as it was, right? That is how you move on. That is how you can heal from trauma, you know? You need to remind yourself in that moment that no, right now I'm not, in this burning house. I'm not in this burning house. I'm not, whatever. Like, of course, that's a quite a big example, but sometimes it can even feel like that. Like you can feel like your fight or flight, right? Flight, fright. I'm sorry, fight or flight or freeze, right? Or fawn. This kind of response is being triggered right now. But that doesn't mean that this is the reality of the situation. So, since this is not an actual burning house, and you can see that when you sit a moment, you will understand that you're not actually sitting in a burning house. That can already help you. So even if you feel like you need to react to something right now, you can just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to react to this, but I'm going to give myself a few minutes. And if I still feel the same way, I'm going to react. But if I feel like maybe, no, I'm overreacting, then you can actually take a different route. So what I'm telling you right now is just take a few moments. Even if you feel like it's so justified to react right now, you're just going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give myself a few minutes. And if I still feel like I should be reacting to this, then I will react. But if I feel differently in a few minutes, then I'm going to choose a different path. All right, so that's what I'm going to give you. Let me see. Of course, we still have our Starborn archetype with us, and that is just to remind ourselves that we are Starborn, right? Like we are we have this divine capability within us that we can grow, right? We're here to grow. We're not here to be perfectly fully formed human beings. We're here to have an experience, to have a journey. We're not being born as fully grown adults, right? We're born as babies. And the nature of human beings is to grow and learn and understand and move on, and to grow, to expand, literally. So your summer will be coming. Maybe it won't come yet, but like maybe it will take some work, but that work will be so worth it. So yeah, don't be discouraged. And we're gonna get one card, one archetype. Let me see. So I'm gonna pick one archetype again, and I'm gonna set the intention of this is how you want to move forward. Should I pick one? Source, should I pick one? It's okay to pick, okay. I can just pick this one. Okay, interesting. So what I'm already getting here is we have the vow. So what I'm getting is you're making a vow with yourself. Like you can even see that this is like someone like who's holding their hands like this, and then there's some other hands that are kind of grabbing around the wrists of this person. So I feel like maybe you even have someone who can give you that stability. But the first thing that you need to do is vow to yourself. And if you can do that, that is really already like half the rent, so to say. But let me see what the book says about this vow. The vow. I think this might be one of the tool archetypes, because this is kind of a tool to move on with your life, right? Like vowing to yourself, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to change the way I react to things. Yeah, it is a tool. So we have the vow, the promise, the oath, the contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason that the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness. The laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promises. Interesting. So maybe there's also like, it could mean, re-evaluate your vow. Maybe you have made a vow to yourself and maybe it has been a little extreme. Like maybe you are like, you had some kind of significant experience of like this kind of idea of like people walking all over you, right? Like maybe you vowed to yourself, oh, I'm never going to let people walk all over me again. But you did it in a way that was maybe a little too extreme, like in a way that was just not realistic, Oh, sorry, I'm moving this a little bit. Maybe it is about having a realistic vow that you can uphold and make it maybe more specific, and not in a way of like, I'm just not going to let anyone close anymore, because that's not going to help you. Like that's not going to be like sometimes it can be even helpful to have certain people around you that keep you stable, especially the ones that keep you accountable to your own vow. So maybe it is about, and they will want to help you if they actually love and understand you and want to be close to you. They want you to do things that are good for you, right? They don't want you to keep on doing the same thing that has been getting you into trouble, right? And maybe it was the kind of trouble that was like people using you, but like for the wrong reasons, like not giving back what they are using you for, right? But this feels more like a person. The person that is holding these hands is like, yes, I'm really supporting you in making these right choices for yourself, these choices that are going to improve your life rather than continue the same thing over and over again, right? So you can read it in a light and a dark way once again. So when light, it means bearing witness to the shift towards destiny. And when dark, it can mean unconscious vows, unkept promises, and messy karma. And to go deeper, they tell you to learn the yamas, the 5 vows of the seeker. Maybe something to look into. I'm definitely going to look it up. Anytime the energy of the vow is present, we are in the archetypical realm of ceremony and ritual. That means time stands still and anything is possible. Think of the last promise you made. Was it to yourself or another? Has it been upheld or broken? This is definitely an interesting thing, and I think it's a helpful thing. So, yeah. Definitely ponder it. I'm going to show you once again the vow. And you can see that there's also this this bird right here, and it kind of looks to me like the peace owl, not peace owl, the peace bird. What is it called? The peace dove. Yeah, I think so. So maybe it's also making peace with yourself, making peace with other people, maybe promises that you've broken or promises with yourself. And it feels like there is some type of energy that is going to help you, that is going to stabilize you. But to do that, they need to see that you are genuine and that you're ready to uphold your vows and not, question it. Or like if you're going to do it, it's going to be in a way that is consistent, and you're not making vows for no reason, because you actually do want to change, right? You do want to change this situation of like people walking all over you. But you need to do it in a way that is realistic and in a way that you won't push people away that actually want to help you. I think that may have been the way that maybe in the past that's kind of been your strategy, but you need to find a balance somewhere where you can understand, actually there are people who want to help me, but if I don't help myself, they also can't help me. I think that's the thing. It's the same thing of like needing to put your own oxygen mask on first, because like if you want to help other people, right? Like you need to help yourself to help other people, but you also need to help yourself for others to help you. Like you need to be receptive to help, right? And maybe you won't even understand or like the help that you're getting because maybe you're still resistant to change. Maybe you're still scared of change and feel like, or like, yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen. I think that's, this universal human thing of like fearing the unknown. And it's okay to be scared. It's fine to be scared. The point is to do it scared. That is literally the point. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to do that and get over yourself, but in the end, I think it's really going to help you because there are going to be scary situations all of your life. Like you're going to encounter things like that all of your life. So the earlier you can learn these types of skills and to be able to just get over yourself, the earlier you're going to understand that you're capable of that. You're not a lost cause, and you're not going to feel like that anymore because you're going to have literally the lived experience of going through it and being able to overcome this fear, right? All right, I'm going to love you and leave you, and thank you for listening, and I'm going to see you next time. Remember that joy is resistance, so keep resisting, all right? Bye bye.